To no one's surprise, but many people's disappointment, Prop 50 passed without breaking a sweat here in California. And the big question is, will it stick? Can't the Supreme Court save us? Well, actually, yeah, maybe. I've got your basics. Lightning round recap, this is the prop that was unconstitutionally put before California voters to take away the twice voted for Independent Redistricting Commission and give congressional map scribbling authority to the state government leadership. Now, despite a whole ton of people advocating against it and masses saying they were going to vote no, we saw, allegedly, only 30% of registered Republicans turn out on Election Day Tuesday, versus the nearly 57% of Democrat voters who submitted ballots or voted on the day. So what's the problem? Well, racial gerrymandering actually violates the Constitution. So Dillon Law Group filed a federal lawsuit against the governor and secretary of state, asking the court to require that the old maps be used while this goes through litigation. The lawsuit was generated by a group of people, including, as I'm sure you've seen, 29-year-old California superstar Assemblyman David Tangupa. Here's what happened. Newsom took money from unions and his buddies and the people who live here and pay outrageous taxes, and most importantly, the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee, and had a Democrat draw these ridiculous new districts and then had the legislature give their stamp of approval saying, we're increasing the voting rights districts to empower Latino voters. So they admitted they drew the maps based on race. Whoopsie, the Supreme Court says you can't do that. The only way you could do that is if you proved there are white majority votes, which there aren't in this state, and that Hispanic voters weren't getting regularly elected, which also isn't true. So redrawing voting rights districts was not required by the law, but they drew them this way regardless. Pretty clearly racial gerrymandering. This is an equal protection under the law issue. The Supreme Court is hearing a case in this next season about the Voting Rights Act, Section 2 to be specific, which says you can't discriminate based on race. So if the Supreme Court agrees with the original intent of the law, that means Prop 50 and old Gavi Gav are going to see a lot more lawsuits. Not to mention, voter ID laws are about to explode, which also means we may go into midterms next year not knowing which congressional district maps to use here in California. Buckle up, team. This fight is far from over. I'll keep you updated, but those are your basics for now.